Alright, so let's talk about the theory of bringing this all together, how this works. So what you want to do is bring all your controllers in the right spot here. We have a telescopic joint which works currently as we go in here and rotate our head. What we also need to do is lock down this controller so that this controller stays in the right spot. So physically what you can do, since this piece of geo is underneath the rigid bind, if you parent this guy to him, it may not translate the way that you want. So what we can do is hard parent this controller underneath this bone. So wherever this bone goes, this controller is going to be part of that, which actually works pretty well. So now when you grab this bone and rotate, you'll see we'll have a nice telescopic joint ready to go, but we can also grab this main bone and move the whole thing structure together. Okay, I'm leaving out the rest of the telescopic joints here because you kind of got the idea from the last video that we had, so we'll just leave them out, but you're required to get those other two in there. So let's go and make some controllers for these structures. Here I made a simple controller. We can call this neck of arm. Freeze it out. And again, you want to do that so the animator doesn't have to pull a calculator to remember his last position. He can start from scratch. And what we want to put underneath him, we can put this guy underneath him so that when he rotates, he moves everything else. And notice we have a little ball there, so it looks like a pivotal joint. So we can go in here and grab this guy and double check his orientation. I think it's a big enough controller. So let's go to our controller, and then we're going to shift select our bone, and then we're going to run a parent constraint. And again, you have to make sure it has maintain offset on, so Maya calculates both of them in 3D space. We can now rotate this. Pretty cool. Nice. We have independent rotation with this bone. But we can also make another controller for this guy, because we want when he moves, we want this whole system to work together. Now you'll notice he's not obeying us right now, this one, because we're going to make another controller and we're going to put him underneath it. So let's go do that. You can simply make it from scratch, but since this guy is parent constraint, the nice thing about it is Control D. We can duplicate it, and now it has its own system without having to worry about stuff underneath it. So in other words, he's his own man. He doesn't have any constraints or anything connected to him. Let's go and freeze his transforms. And let's go ahead and put this bone right here underneath him. And again, we're going to use, Control C, we're going to use parent constraint. You're going to watch what you select there. Parent constraint, there we go. And with that, we're going to parent him, just like we did with the FK spine, underneath him. P. Check it out. There we go. So that's pretty much how you can take this on. You just have to be logical about the whole thing. Notice that works really well. And then I can go in here and animate this guy too. Swivel it if I need to swivel it. But remember, you got to watch your orientations, make sure it makes sense. In this case, we probably wouldn't swivel this because it is a neck with that ball joint, which is kind of cool, but at the same time we want to be logical. We can make another controller to swivel this on a local access point. So we can keep our finger on the V key, you know, snap it, or simply just move it across. Freeze his transforms, maybe even scale him down so he isn't so big. Know that he's controlling that head. And then simply grab this geo and parent him underneath here, hit P. And again, we want to parent him underneath the one below him, hit P. So all of this moves in a logical fashion. See that right there? Kind of cool. So we got all that initial structure. And then when you make your IKs, make controllers for each one of these IKs and place them underneath the appropriate controller. In this case, it would be the head. From there, we can make another controller which controls the back end of this arm. And you can use any method that you want. You can create from scratch and put it there. And you would put another controller to pretty much control the whole system. In this case, we can grab this controller, and I'm going to grab this bone. Always double check what it looks like visually. And I can grab this geo, not that one, this guy, and put him underneath him. Hit P. So with the other pieces together, if we move this, we'll notice it's moving pretty cool, but we're leaving our little guys behind. Now in class we used a point constraint to try to connect these guys to this controller, but now that we have a lot more complicated systems in here, we don't need the point constraints anymore. We can remove them because remember we connected a math node, so literally this guy's only looking at the math node, nothing else. So what we can do now is go in here and grab our geo and grab a group, and I'm going to shift select the geo here and hit P to put it underneath hard parent underneath that. So we have our SDKs. Remember we did SDK with our controller. So now we have movement with the gears, check it out, and we have movement of the controller. And we're in fully control of this guy. And all we need is the controllers for the IKs for the fingers. And you can do that on your own. So that's pretty much the theory of how to get this set up and get it animatable. That's it.